Get them fired up and get them to the staging lanes, baby, because 8th Mile Apparel is now carrying Going Bracket Racing merch. Hats, t-shirts, hoodies, and much more can be yours today by visiting 8thmileapparel.com. We appreciate each and every one of you guys supporting the Going Bracket Racing YouTube and Facebook pages.
What's up, everybody? Casey and George back for 2025, January 7th, 2025 to be exact. Starting off this year with episode 181 of the Going Bracket Racing podcast. It's freezing outside, and I'm up here back up in my office like I used to be all the time. So things look a little bit different up here right now. I'm trying to get used to everything. I got stuff zip tied over here. There's zip ties sitting next to me. I got an old camera zip tied up here. I don't know how much you can see and what's going on. Maybe I need to adjust this. Whoa, that was a little too dark. But anyway, 2025, we got to thank all those people that keep this thing going and are keeping this thing going back into 2025. TSR Racing Products, Power Glides, Turbo 350s, 727s, 400s, all kinds of parts and accessories, all kinds of books that'll help you get everything back in order over well, I guess now it's technically 2025. You better get it ready in the next month. We're starting racing again out here, at least where we're at. VRG 3D printed parts. You got any kind of new ideas that you need printed up for your car? You got a guy that can print it up for you, Brian Garrett over there, 3D printed parts. VRG 3D printed parts. We'll get something printed up for you. Just give them all kinds of dimensions and things that you need, and you can get custom made parts over there. I'm looking over here at this screen in the background. It's messing up right now. I'm going to have to readjust my lighting in here in a second. But it's just kind of confusing me over here. Syntex Printing out there in Temple, Texas. Shirts, brochures, stickers, anything you need for your business. Driven Racing Oil. They usually have a big banner out here behind me, but like I said, I'm up here in the office right now. You just have to settle for a shirt right now. Use the code GBR10, get yourself 10% off your order. And that includes anything. That's not just oil. They sell transmission fluid. They sell that speed clean that I tell you all the time will make those white trailers you left under the tree all summer long and didn't wash them. They'll make them look as close to brand new as you're ever going to get again. And Proform Parts, proformparts.com. Visit them for your starters, alternators, carburetors, any kind of accessories you need, tools for your shop, engine building tools. You ought to be freshening that motor up right now. Otherwise, you're going to regret it a little while later. Proform Parts is the way to do that. Crew Chief Pro software. If you're going to start racing in February, it might be a little bit cold. You need to figure out how you're actually going to run the ET you think you're going to run or what ET you're going to run. Crew Chief Pro software, crewchiefpro.com. Contact Don. He'll get you hooked up. 8th Mile Apparel. That's where you get your GBR hats, your shirts, all kinds of stuff over there. You want to support the show? We really appreciate that. 8thmileapparel.com. That's where you get all of that stuff. George, I'm going to go behind here and move this light around so people can actually see what's going on the screen behind me. Tell everybody what's new for 2025 while I do that.
Yeah, man, that's good. Okay, welcome in, guys. Hadn't seen you guys in about a year. It seems like at least the year has changed up from 24 to 25. And can't thank you guys enough out there, GBR community, for being part of this show, of this podcast, of the live streams that we produce here and at the racetracks. Man, we can't do it without you guys. Special shout out, and I guess it's for immediate release as we're into 2025, and those good old marketing partners are just sticking with us as we see so far. So definitely got some good things. Kind of got some new commercials I get to roll out for Proform. Got some good stuff going on there. Hopefully we can renew the giveaways. I think it's already underway, but I'm not 100% sure yet, guys, on that one. But we'll definitely keep you in the loop as we learn more about the old giveaways at Proform. But Yeah, man. I utter what Casey said. It's cold out there. I feel for anybody in the north, kind of, well, from the middle of the country, from east to west or west to east, whichever way you want to go. It looks like there was a snowstorm that might have knocked all you guys out pretty good there for a minute. I know back home, my dad said he may have got about 5 inches, and up north may have got quite a bit more than that. So be careful out there. It's gonna be cold for a while, so that snow probably ain't going nowhere. Be careful out there, fellas, and hopefully you got that antifreeze in those race cars out there, so that you don't have any crazy accidents with those race cars. But Casey, man, it was a pretty eventful holiday. Hopefully everybody had a good holiday as well. I think Driven came back to us too, guys. By the way, so that Driven racing oil is gonna keep pumping through GBR as well. That GBR 10 code is still going to be live in 2025. Hey, man, that rhymed. I need a prize for that. Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, yeah, we'll see how that goes. You get have your own prizes, so you never know what could happen anymore. But what you guys can see on that screen back there right now, I got a, like I said, this was the last minute thing that I threw together up here because it decided to be, I don't know, 20 degrees in North Carolina. That doesn't happen very often. So the shop is not somewhere I want to be right now. But you see all these fine sponsors at the bottom of the screen. That's who you need to get with. We'll talk about them here a little while later. But George, we called this show A Message to IHRA. And it's kind of funny because I want to say our first show last year, we had the IHRA officials on here.
Right,
Um,
right.
so, you know, I don't think it's going to be any surprise to anybody watching this show. There's been a lot of, just talk and hubbub, I guess. You could just say hubbub
Yeah.
about the IHRA. Obviously, it's sold. Um, it seems like they're getting ready to do some really big things. We were getting ready to see 3 national events, which turned into 10. Um, Obviously, the more events there are, the better it's going to be. And the very first thing that was announced that a lot of people are forgetting is that they're essentially tripling the purse payouts for both the bracket finals and the IHRA World Finals, which for those of you that are in NHRA, their bracket finals are just like your normal bracket finals, your division champions. And then your world finals would be like whenever NHRA guys, whoever wins, goes to Pomona and runs off to see who the actual world champion is. Um, I think that payout, I know for top ET or super pro, whatever you want to understand it as, that's paying 30,000 to win. I want to say Junior Dragsters is even paying like 2,500 at bracket finals. So I've seen a lot of people say they're not doing anything for the bracket racers. That's not true. Now let's get into some of the negatives of this whole deal, which is we saw Kenny Noling on Facebook, constantly posting, we're doing this, we're doing this, we're doing this. January 2nd, everybody pay attention. January 2nd, we're gonna release some major news, major news. All of a sudden, January 2nd comes and, hey guys, we're not posting anything. And I just feel like surely one of those tracks is locked down by now. Why couldn't we just release something? Like just release like, hey, we're gonna have an event here. You don't even have to say, um, you don't have to say what the payouts are. You don't have to say anything. You could just slowly trickle out some of this information.
Yeah.
But now, because of what's happened with IHRA for the last, 3-4 years, um, people are all up in arms, being like, "Hey, man, what?" A lot of negativity going on. I guess I should
Yeah,
say.
yeah, and I guess rightfully so. And you know me, I like to err on the side of caution with probably everything that we go through, and especially in a sport like drag racing, bracket racing in particular, where you hold it so close to you. You spend most of your weekends through the summers and spring, and most of us into the falls are spent at a racetrack or watching racing or in the shop working on things that involve racing, things of that nature, man. So I always try to be as as open-minded as possible. And the first thing that comes to mind with the whole hubbub that I've been seeing, and IHRA coming into play again with new leadership, practically they're revamping the thing. You know what I mean? So yeah, Rome wasn't built in a day. You probably heard me say that the last time IHRA was sold. So we expect to see some hiccups, kind of a few bruised knees and some scratches on the knees as they go through building what we're going to hope to participate in. if not on a smaller scale, but maybe even on the bigger scale with all these 10 Nitro events or whatever bigger events that they're talking about having, kind of a national event style IHRA return to glory being their theme. So definitely an open discussion format is what we like to do here. Those chat boxes are wide open. I'm watching YouTube, Facebook. I'm watching it all. Casey's watching it all. Leave your comments in here, guys. But let's actually talk about it a little bit more in depth. And just kind of start with what Casey said there. Why did we not get any news? Like, you could have gave us um, one of the drivers even. Hey, we've already secured blah. Clay
Right.
Bookins back, or he's gonna come run a class. I don't know. I'm not, and don't take that anywhere. He might do it, guys. I don't know if that's the truth or not. But why didn't we even get any of that?
Yeah, exactly. And I know they're saying, okay, we're waiting for big sponsors. We're doing this. We're doing that. Um, I just, again, surely we've locked down at least one track. And the problem is, and I'm sure they know this, but again, they could just trickle out some sort of information. The problem is that everyone's releasing their schedules right now. All the major events are starting to release. And if you're going to have top fuel, if you're going to have nitro cars, if you're going to have, funny car, they're paying, and this is something that's a good thing. All the pro classes are free, including nitro, including pro mod. They're paying $100,000 to win the pro mod and mountain motor pro stock championships. But it's like, dude, there's also NHRA and PDRA and certain outlaw deals that are going on, and West Buck stuff is going on, which
And the Winter
shouldn't
Series that's
affect it,
coming. Yeah,
but we don't know whenever the races are going to be. And at the end of the day, those nitro cars, bare minimum, and pro stock cars, and pro modified, I guess you could say, all the pro classes, let's just say that, they require sponsorship to be able to run those cars. And when you're making your contracts in the beginning of the year, you're saying, I am going to do XYZ for you. That's all in a contract. Now you've signed that contract. Now, say, for example, John Force. I don't know who he's sponsored by anymore. Last I thought it was Peak or something like that. Well, Peak says, John Force, I'm going to give you $100 million or whatever they give John Force Racing because they have so many fuel cars. I'm going to give you $100 million and I expect you to do this, this, and this. Well, now how is he going to go run one of these potential events if he wanted to for whatever reason? Because now he's got to redo all those contracts and even ask for them to be able to be allowed to do that. That money's been spent.
yeah.
So wherever, Peak doesn't just sponsor in that scenario John Force, they sponsor off-road trucks, they'll sponsor monster trucks, they'll sponsor dirt track cars. Like, I mean, they'll sponsor NASCARs. It's just the money's gone now.
Old
So
Racer's
how are
saying
we
it
going to
right.
get these drivers?
Old Racer's kind of bringing up what you're talking about right off the bat here, Casey, in the old YouTube chat. It says, and where are they, and when are they going to be? It's not, we don't even have a where yet. We don't have a when.
Right.
You know what I mean? At least you could put out the schedule and put TB to be announced next to every single date that you post. Now, that's not going to make a lot of people very happy. Don't get me wrong. But at least the schedule's already out there to where people can understand, all right, well, I have a race that I already see right here. And hopefully the IHRA, whatever it's called, I can't remember the name of the national events that they're going to name them. I think anyway,
Nitro Jam.
I thought so, and I just didn't want to say it. But the Nitro Jam races are going to be, let's say Memphis, which we'll get to, is what I thought was the mystery track. We'll get to that. I'm not going to jump on that topic yet and wear it out. But where are these events so that we can schedule, especially those of us who travel quite a bit? So this may not affect those of us who are kind of in the area of where these races are going to be in the first place. There are a lot of people that travel, however. So yeah, it's going to have some impact.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, like I said, it's definitely not all hate because what they're doing good things. The problem is there's been so much letdown with just how things have gone in the last, 3 or 4 years. Well, I mean, it obviously goes beyond that, but I mean, just the hype that gets built up and then nothing happens. Um, it's just they need to at least trickle out some information. Where's it going to be? Where's when are we going to do it? Like, just give a general idea. Like, you could even say, hey, we're going to have something at, you know, I don't know, Roxborough, I know is IHRA. So we're going to have something at Roxborough Dragway in sometime in May. Like, even something as simple as that. Like, it doesn't need to be this big
Something
flashy
even
announcement.
Here's something even more simple, Casey. What are the rules? Are we going to eighth
Yeah,
mile or are we going to quarter mile? There's a lot
right.
of things that it's just missing. All I've seen so far, and I've laughed at him a few times, old Kenny Noling, with his live streams there. But so far, all I've seen is an Iron Man and a few kisses. What?
Yeah.
I feel like I'm watching. I don't know. I'll leave that alone. You know what I mean? But it brings a little bit of laughter to some people. But that Iron Man ain't said very much yet, Casey. What do you think? What are they gonna do? Are we gonna see eighth mile fuel cars?
I don't know. That's the other thing is like, is it going to be 1,000 feet? Is it going to be quarter mile? Because I'm pretty sure, I'm 99% certain from what I've seen that I think their major track announcement is going to be that they got Flying H, if they haven't already said that. I'm 99% certain that's going to be an announcement just based on the pictures and stuff, and just the information that we found. Um, but I mean, it's like, I just don't understand. If you're going to have 10 Nitro Jam events, you went from 3 to 10. If you had 3, that means you already knew of 3 tracks that were going to be there.
Right.
So surely now that we have 10, even if a couple of those dropped off and you changed your mind, surely we have at least one that we can say, this is some information. But when you build something up to be this big, huge deal, and you say it's going to be January 2nd, and everybody's like, okay, cool. And then at 11 o'clock, whenever the thing is supposed to happen, then everybody gets on and you say, oh, by the way, you guys are
Psych.
going to be really happy with all this stuff, but I can't say anything. We're like, okay, all you did was make everybody mad, really. Like, and that's where all the hate came from, is because people feel like they're being led on.
We already have a lot of people waiting. Number one, some of us just waiting for information, like us bracket racers. I'm sure most of us are just more so waiting for the information. There's a lot of us that run IHRA points at our local tracks throughout the year. There's a lot of us that wouldn't mind going maybe to Holly Springs, but who knows? I don't know. I don't think there was very many changes on that side of things, but where's everything gonna be at? You know?
Right. And that's the main question. Where is the everything going to be at? Because whenever they started doing the oh, man, what was it called? What they did last year, the man, I can't think of the name that it was called, but anyway, it was essentially a divisional.
Yep.
Um, and but the problem was there was like really no way to run for a championship, because there was one out by you in Texas, there was one in Darlington
Across the
for
way.
me,
Right.
and
Right.
then all of a sudden there's another one way over somewhere else and another one somewhere else, which those two ended up getting canceled.
Right.
And I think that was mostly due to weather. But the fact of the matter is, it's like there's no way to run for a championship in that scenario, because everybody's running all over the place. And I understand like wanting to give some to somebody and give some to somebody else and let everybody participate. But in my mind, if you're starting something back from scratch, and at that particular time they had, and this isn't just because I live in North Carolina, I'm just saying that it made business sense to say we had Piedmont, we had Darlington, we had Roxborough, and we had somewhere else, and we could have just ran at all those. And then you could have had a little championship series, got people back into it, and said,
Yeah.
look, this is what it has potential to be. Let's do it twice as big next year.
Yeah, I know they were probing markets, right? But here's the thing. I just read over here on the YouTube chat from Randy Johnston. Holly Springs just announced new owners. Now, I didn't know that until this particular episode of Going Bracket Racing. This is why I love the community, by the way. You guys have information that we can really run with during streams like this. So make sure you keep it coming. But does that mean that automatically World Finals is at Holly Springs, or what if the new owner says I don't want to have anything to do with you? So there's a lot of moving parts, and that's kind of where I give grace. Like, don't take this as a 100% bashing of the new IHRA, because it's drag racing and it's bracket racing is somewhat involved in it, and class racing is obviously coming back. Maybe we'll see some super comp and some maybe I don't really know. We think we're gonna see top sportsman and top dragster, I think those may be 99%, top 99% in the mix there. You know, Casey's got a top sportsman car. That's gonna be fun to watch. I'll be sitting there watching my boy race. You know what I mean? But maybe is all that is, because if we keep getting information like this, you know, and Barnes confirming it. They announced it a couple days ago that Holly Springs has new ownership. So, you know, luckily, and maybe this is a good thing that they kind of set it off a little bit from January 2nd. But that notion of false hope is actually really making its way through bracket racing right now, at least from what I've saw, Casey. So, man, I really want to do this next and kind of get off into this before we go into commercial break, Casey, and kind of let our marketing partners have a few words there. But I already alluded to Memphis, and I really want to talk about and kind of give a thank you to IHRA if Memphis is the actual track that I saw. Everybody saw looked like an old track with grass kind of growing up, and Kenny Nolan was laying on one of the guardrails there, I believe. But if that is Memphis, say hello to another big money bracket racing location, because it's right smack dab in the middle of Texas and Illinois and St. Louis. All of that is right in the middle. You know what I
Main
mean?
transit hub where all it's just like St. Louis where all the everything converges.
Say hello. And if that is the case, I really do. I really want to say thank you, IHRA, if you're bringing back, as my seat just broke. Yeah. So during commercial, I guess I'm gonna have to get a new seat, Casey. I told you it was almost gone, but thank you, IHRA, for bringing back a track that really is going to make an impact on the bracket racing side of things, either big money or small big money, 10s and 20s coming in there. I bet CP's already thinking about coming out there. And by the way, one of my good friends, old KG Kevin Grider, just told us it was called the Hot Rod Classic. Yeah,
Yes.
we were botching that a little bit. KG, good looking out, buddy. Sending us a text on that. But hey, guys, we can come back and talk a little bit more about Memphis and your thoughts on if that was the track or not, and what it could actually mean for bracket racing. Because I actually think that could be really good for us, even if none of us are gonna chase the IHRA points and all that other good stuff. That's a good track for some pretty good big money racing. So hang in there. We'll be right back. Marketing partners are gonna give you a few words. Hang in there.
TSR Racing Products has everything you need to make your Power Glide Turbo 350, Turbo 400, and 727 transmissions the best they can be on the street or at the track. With exceptional products, customer service, and over 30 years of experience, TSR Racing Products is always available to help their customers with any of their transmission needs. In-house machining ensures you only receive the best products from TSR Racing. Visit TSR Racing Products at tsr-racing.com or give them a call at 800-394-5889.
BRG Motorsports 3D printed racing parts are able to provide you with whatever you desire to enhance your drag racing operation. Items like safety belt magnets, nitrous bottle holders, and even quick release delay box mounts are able to be obtained from BRG Motorsports 3D printed racing parts. Have a look at top selling items such as helmet hooks and steering wheel hooks, which are proven to make it easier to maneuver throughout your race car. You can contact BRG Motorsports 3D printed racing parts at telephone number 765 729 1177.
When you're in need, don't settle for less. Proform Auto Parts, you've chosen the best. With all the building tools, we take the lead. It's time to upgrade your ride. We've got what you need. Carburetor skills, radiator systems. Proform Auto Parts, we got what you're looking for. Wedge locking mods, stress up parts, roller rockers, and so much more. At Proform Auto Parts.
Welcome back. I'm out of breath. I had to run to the
And
pad.
we did a lot of transitions there.
Yeah, man. I don't I don't ever want to have to do that again. But I'm glad I didn't fall on good old episode 181 of Going Bracket Racing. And you guys get to see me fall out of an old office seat that I've been needing to replace for a while. It's on a gangster lean now, man. It's leaning like that. So not intentionally, but guys, thanks for joining in. GBR episode 181 can't be possible without you guys out there in the community. I gotta shout it out because it actually made me feel real warm in my heart. A couple of you guys there, and this ain't by no means me saying, hey, you guys need to do this, but I got a postcard from, I believe, Troy Abercrombie came in the mail for Christmas. That was dope, man. That felt really good. Thanks for thinking of me and my family during your time, man. And I don't like cameras, so you might not ever see one from me. Like, I can do the video thing, but still shots, yeah, nah. I can't do still shots, big dog. I don't like cameras like that. But Troy, thank you for sending that out, man. My wife got a pretty good kick out of that when she opened it. She was like, "Who's Troy?" I was like, "Oh, drag racer that we know through Going Bracket Racing. I think he's been here since episode like 1.5 or something. Because the first episode, I'm pretty sure we had technical difficulties the whole way through. But thanks for that. BRG Motorsports 3D printed parts made me a light. And his 3D printer, of course, BRG Motorsports 3D printed parts. If you need anything 3D printed to fit your race car, or put in your bathroom that illuminates a picture of you and your family on it because it's 3D printed across the whole thing and a light behind it just illuminates the whole. Hey man, it's just little things like that, guys, that it'll keep us moving. I'm telling you, it'll keep us moving. Me and Casey, and can't appreciate you enough. Crew Chief Pro, I've met you enough times, man. You're awesome. Your product is really, really awesome. I'm looking forward to putting it to the test with my Ron's fuel injection system that's going onto my car, and being able to compare what the difference is between my carbureted runs and my fuel injected runs. But it ain't possible. I mean, I guess it is if I could do some math myself and kind of do all that stuff. I can't do that. I'm not Casey. Okay, but I can put it in my computer pretty easily as I put my tickets in there and get my numbers spit out. So thanks for everything you do, Crew Chief Pro, guys. If you add anything or you're not adding anything, so you got a surplus of money that you can just be using, I would tell you to head over to Crew Chief Pro. Make sure you get you a weather station. Don't care what type it is, as long as it works with the Crew Chief Pro software through your laptop. You won't be mad at me, okay? I'm telling you, you won't, okay? You take my word for it or not, doesn't matter. Driven Racing Oil, thanks for what you do. Keeping the motors, all of the GBR followers, obviously, keeping the motors looking nice and pristine. Dropping that oil pan and or should I say, dropping that oil filter and cutting it open and not seeing anything ignorant, but then looking at the oil and being like, I'm half tempted to put this back in my car because it's got 60 runs on it, but I can't tell. That's Driven for you guys. I don't think I missed anything, but TSR Racing Products, hey, you need anything, it's off season, rebuild those transmissions. Those input shafts will get wore out. You better have you a spare. If you're running big dog stuff like you, Casey, you better get you a spare input shaft if you ain't got one. I'm just telling you, TSR will hook you up, and I know you know that. So back to the show, and I'm done rambling. I don't think I missed anybody, but if I did, thank you guys too, Casey. Where we going? We staying with Memphis, Casey?
First of all, I need somebody to come on board so I can run big dog stuff because I need a bigger blower.
Oh shoot!
But then we'd be all right. Then we can do that. But
I did see some.
Yeah, man,
here in the.
I never got an opportunity to go to Memphis, but I know that I know a lot of people love to go into Memphis, and it was kind of a crazy deal when it shut down. So if they're going to bring that back, again, easy place to get to, super, super easy place to get to, great place to be able to get people in and out. It's like I would say a miniature version at this point of what we always call Gateway Worldwide Technologies. Look what happened with the OG Million whenever they put it there, and that's solely because it's easy to get to. So if they're going to resurrect Memphis, I mean, there's still a lot of Memphis left. Like the tower structure is still there. Obviously, it's going to need a remodel.
Yeah.
A lot of broken glass, things like that. I'm sure rain got in, obviously. But I mean, the structure itself is there, and I'm sure that's made out of steel.
Yeah.
So it shouldn't be a huge deal. At times just like I was telling my buddy the other day, sometimes it's easier to build something from scratch versus fix what you got. But at the same time, the track is there, the land is there. That's what really matters.
Yeah, and the location, the 3 L's, man. Location, location, location. It's
Won't
automatic.
get ran,
Opinion. Say it again.
racetrack won't get ran out of Memphis.
No. There's enough going on there, dude. You got the Memphis Street Outlaws and all that crew going on out there. There's enough going on there. You guys aren't gonna be in trouble to have Memphis come back. I can't remember why it went out of business the first time in the first place, but we've gone through enough in the economy that I'm shocked that a lot of other tracks, thank the Lord that it didn't happen, but shocked a lot of other tracks didn't have to go down that path there. But I was looking at old Barnes' post here. He says he thinks Kenny Nolan's going to go live. I want to say it's this week, Thursday. I'm looking back up now. Yeah, Thursday is the new schedule, guys. So you heard it here. You probably heard it on IHRA as well. But we can get our popcorn ready for Thursday. Let's just hope we have a reason to eat it, I guess, right?
Might go stale.
Shoot. Hey, make fresh popcorn, guys. I know you had it made on the 2nd, but it's only the 7th. It was 5 days ago. Okay, so let's make sure we're leaving grace. Rome was not
And
built
that's
day, man. It wasn't.
right. And that's the thing too. It's like this isn't an IHRA bashing session by any means. It's the fact that we want to know what's going on, just like all the rest of you guys, and we're hoping that the right people see this where they'll understand. We want to know what's going on because we want to race. We all want to race with them, but we need to make the arrangements in our schedule, in our vacation time. Like some people have to get that vacation time in like immediately because if especially like construction guys. You got to get that vacation time in immediately because if there's already 10 guys off for July 4th, you're not getting off July 4th. They need somebody to be working, something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, or the day before, or whatever you want to say. But the fact of the matter is the information needs to get out there so that way people can put that on their schedule, get their vacation time in, and plan to come to your event. Because a lot of people want to come to your event. They just need to know when and where they are going to be.
I have a feeling, I really do. This is going to be good for racing as a whole, the whole racing industry. This is going to be a great move. So I'm real optimistic about this. I know the new owner, can't remember his name. I think he's Durana Hybrid or something like that, may be his actual company, but I feel like he has pro mods. So he's a
He
racer.
just had that first and a half. So I mean, he's exactly what we've always asked for. Have somebody that has the money to do what he's going to do, who is an actual racer themselves.
Yeah. So that's all good, right? And I'm still really hoping that after what we watched in a few weeks back out there at Bradenton, where old Kai Kelly took the actual cookie. Man, I'm really hoping that we can get a little bit closer to integration of bracket racing, drag racing, class racing, all this stuff. No prep, none of that. I don't care what it is. If we get it all together, then we have the ability to pull the fans back all together at the same time. It doesn't matter if you don't stay in the stands because you don't understand bracket racing, but there are people there who understand bracket racing. And if you stay there long enough, you're probably going to wind up gambling anyway, so you're still going to have fun. That's what you came to do as a spectator. So really hoping for the best there for the whole motorsports, this whole drag racing motorsport in the first place, Casey. But, man,
Yeah.
Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
And about with the IHRA thing, with them paying that much money for the Pro Mod Championship, a lot of these MPK guys, I don't know if MPK is over with or whatever's going on, but they have a following. They all essentially have Pro Mods right now. If they can't afford a real Pro Mod, Ty Kelly already proved that their cars are plenty competitive. Now, I don't know if they're running a quarter mile or not. Maybe they won't be because they're not as aerodynamic. So
Sure.
it's one thing to run to the 8th mile. It's another thing to go to the quarter mile. Once you get over 200, it's a whole different aerodynamic thing. So
wouldn't that be a reason for IHRA to make their Pro Mod class centered around 8th mile in the first place? Simply saying, they don't. IHRA already does this right, Casey. They allow the pros to come in there and race for free. So, yeah, people can have a little bit more money to build their Pro Mod, even if it ain't that much. But, shoot, you don't have an entry fee. That's gas
Right.
money at least, right?
Right. And I've thought for a long time that Pro Mod probably needs to be at least 1,000 foot. I know all the NHRA guys, and they're the ones that run it. So they want to run quarter mile. It's the only place to run Pro Mod quarter mile. But almost every Pro Mod wreck you see happens between 8th mile and quarter mile. Pretty much 1,000 foot on. I always thought NHRA Pro Mods need to be backed up to 1,000 foot. But they're the ones running it, and they're all crazy anyway. So let them do it. They're about like bull riders. They're all nuts. But the fact of the matter is that if you can make it 8th mile only, the difference is now you don't need 5,000 horsepower. You can do it with 3,000 or 3,500 horsepower, and you can be a top tier guy if you know how to use it. But if you run quarter mile, now you need 5,000 horsepower because you got to use it. You can't put it all in. That's why Mark Mickey's car pulls the wheels at like 495 feet, is because that's whenever all the power comes in. Well, you've made your move at that point. It's going to gain you a little bit, obviously, but it's not going to be crazy. But if it was from 8th mile to quarter mile, you're going to put links and links and links on that guy.
Yeah. Steve Shepard, hopefully my sound is a little bit better there. We are in a little bit different of a setup at Casey's house there, and the mic is not 100% video podcast savvy at this point, as everything is out there in his shop. And I've seen somebody mention, Casey, you need to get a furnace out there or something, but it's a brand new build, guys. Just like we're talking about the IHRA, get a man some grace. Just built it.
I mean, whenever I'm out there right now, but let me tell you this, it's 20 degrees colder right now than it is typically out there. And if it was that normal 40 to high 30s, I'd be out there. But I'm telling you right now, I'm sorry, I'm not going out there when it's 20 degrees, fellas. So we're going to have to deal with this. Maybe next week we'll be back out there.
Hey, who knows? But hey, more to come on this whole IHRA deal, guys. And we'll definitely keep our eyes open, our ears peeled. We ask you to do the same. And if you see something that we just so happen to did not see, hit us up on goingbracketracing@gmail.com. Maybe we can get you in on one of those good old episodes of Questions from the Pits, which we're about to kind of cut into right now, Casey, as we did get some questions from the pits there from one of our followers, old Michael Clark here, coming in, and he says he's an old-timeish racer, both heads up and brackets. Says he's been doing it for a long time at local tracks. He says shout out to Mocan and Centerville Dragway. I've heard about both of them, by the way. I've never been to each, but I've heard about them. So he's looking like he's going to try to get into some Super Pro. He's going to, this will be his first year running Super Pro, it looks like. And he's also looking to step up in the divisional side at NHRA division in Tulsa, which hopefully I'll be out there at the same time, and also run some big money events. So guys, what do we, he's basically asking us what does he need to do license-wise, chassis certification-wise? What does a newbie need to do there? And for the bracket racing side, I guess I'll start off there. You've already said it. Make sure you're racing at your local racetracks. Sharpening up your iron a little bit, man. And hopefully you got some guys who will, hopefully you beat them a couple times. I really hope you do. But hopefully they teach you a few lessons, because you're going to need them when you head over to the big money side of bracket racing. It is a unbelievable shark pool out there right now in big money world. So don't let me scare you away, Mike Clark, because I'll tell you what, you hit the tree 00 and your car runs dead on, well, those sharks are going to turn into little bitty guppies real fast, big dog, because you're going to be the shark, right? But first and foremost, make sure you hit your local events, get you some time under your belt. I always recommend Crew Chief Pro. That's just me. I like what it does for data. Getting as much data as you can on your car. And that's not just because, hey, they back GBR and kind of have some marketing partnership with GBR. No, I've known about Crew Chief Pro for many years, especially being from Illinois. And the creator of Crew Chief Pro, I do believe, is from Illinois as well, even though he might live in Florida right now. So I'll start there. Casey, man, you may know a little bit more than me about this NHRA divisional stuff. I know you got to run a certain amount of divisional races, I think, in order to get into one of those big NHRA races. Maybe you can chime in there.
So first of all, if you're going to run an NHRA anything, you obviously need, if your car is of the speed that requires it, you need to get a chassis certification. I think it's like 639 or something's where you got to start getting chassis certifications. I don't know how that works for Super Street because it would be a NHRA race. I don't know if you need to technically be certified for that, even though in theory you should be below that range. There might be a 1099 deal also, so you might have to do that. I'm not sure. But I do know that after 639, you need an actual NHRA license as well. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Chassis certification might be something different, but
you need that too.
You need both of those.
Yep.
The license deal isn't that difficult. I know whenever I don't know what the rules are anymore. I I got mine when I was 16, which was a long time ago. I'll be 38 in a couple days. So I don't remember what that was like. I do remember whenever I was younger, you had to be blindfolded and do a cockpit test or whatever. I've heard that since then you don't have to do that anymore. But you do have to make your runs. You have to make so many 60-foot shots, 330 shots, 8th-mile shots, and if you're doing a quarter-mile class, you have to do quarter-mile passes. Otherwise, they'll restrict you to an 8th-mile license. I don't know how much that's enforced, but because at the end of the day, there's not a lot of quarter-mile tracks out here. I think Rockingham's the only place out by me that you can run quarter-mile other than VMP. And other than that, you'd have to go way up north or back home where we used to race. But
if you might be close to Tulsa, Tulsa's definitely quarter mile. I mean, that son of a gun is the longest track I think I've ever been on. So, yeah, you can get some quarter mile done there for sure. You definitely want to register with NHRA if you're going to want to do some NHRA division racing. I'm not 100% sure what IHRA is going to do, but they may even accept that NHRA license as well as the certification. I mean, I don't see why they wouldn't, and I don't think they're going to turn you away if you don't have IHRA license, but you have NHRA license. That doesn't make sense to me. But I know some of their stuff is membership only racing, like some of the points races. You can't go to World Finals. I think you got to have a X number, so you might want to do that if you plan on getting licensed in 2 different classes.
yeah, that's one of the things I've always thought was kind of made no sense was if you want to participate in a divisional race, I can understand a national event like, yeah, you need to be an NHRA member at that point. But as far as a divisional race goes, I always thought that was kind of dumb to make somebody be required to be a member because you're just losing out on entry fees for that type of stuff because people aren't going to pay $265 or whatever it is to be a member to race one race if it's only one race in their area and then pay the entry fee on top of it. So I always thought that was kind of dumb. Like just say, okay, well, you can't be a division champion if you're not a member, obviously, so your points don't count unless you have a license valid at the time of the race. That's what I would say.
Sure.
But yeah, other than that, it's just a matter of showing up. If you want to run a national event, I know you have to have a certain amount of grade points. I'm not 100% well versed in that. I always defer to Will Monroe, TSR Racing Products. He's the NHRA runner.
Yep.
So I usually email him and ask him questions about any of that stuff because I do intend on potentially, as long as all my stuff holds together and everything goes as planned, I'm planning on running some NHRA Top Sportsman stuff in 2026.
That may
Go
be
ahead.
a good question for the GBR Fridays. Questions that come out, Casey, man. What is needed to run the NHRA divisional/national events? Because there's going to be a lot of people who follow going bracket racing. Like I'm looking at a comment from Shaq Donovan right now. And he's saying chassis cert is $9.99 as well as a license for $9.99. And there's a 750 cert and a 750 license. So it seems as if however fast you're going is going to be basically chassis certification you need as well as the license level that you need, if I read that right. So
yeah, and that's what I've always wondered about the Super Street thing. Super Street's a real gray area because it's an NHRA class, which you would assume needs all the NHRA credentials, but I don't know if it's fast enough ET-wise, because that's a dumb thing NHRA's always done, is they base everything off of ET when it really should be based off mile an hour, because these, like for years, the only smart rule that they've come out with recently is that you have to have a Hans device over 150 miles an hour, no matter what you're running. If you go over 150 in the eighth, Hans device. If you go over 150 in the quarter, Hans device, because it was always stupid that top dragster was required to have, and the reason top dragster is because super comp cars will go 890 and some will go 190 mile an hour, 195 mile an hour. And some of these top dragsters will go 190 and they have to have a Hans and you don't,
right?
Because you're running super comp because it's ET based. That's stupid.
Right.
But finally they made a correct ruling.
Yeah.
So, congratulations.
Hey, Austin Day's commenting here on our YouTube side here. He's saying for Super Street, it also may depend on your mile an hour. So there's definitely some There's a little gray areas there, Michael, man. But I'd say what, man, just pay attention to the GBR page. I think Casey and I'll try to get out a post and see if we can't get some guys who run the NHRA already currently. Neither one of us frequent any NHRA divisionals as a racer. I may go and do some other things at an NHRA event. But definitely a great question, and appreciate you sending that email over there to the goingbracketracing@gmail.com. If you guys have anything that you want to talk about, you want to remain anonymous, Michael did not. If you guys want to remain anonymous, you just put that inside the email. If you want to air out something that you just think just flat is a bunch of junk in our sport right now, send it to us. We will not name your name if you say not to, but we will talk about it. Send it over here inside of the Gmail account, or find us on Facebook. Whatever the case may be, you pick your poison, and we'll figure out a way to get it on a topic discussion here on the questions from the pits. I believe this is number 3 or 4 that we've done, so this is a new segment we've got here on the old Going Bracket Racing podcast. Find us live on the podcast form, wherever you listen to your podcast, on YouTube and Facebook. Casey, what else we got before we get out of here, man? I know we done ran up on that good old hour mark. Gets here pretty quick.
I tell you what, this has nothing to do with racing, but I'm about tired of this cold weather. I know that we didn't get it as bad in North Carolina as a lot of you went. My wife's from the Kansas City area, and her sisters are saying that it's pretty bad out there. I've talked to a lot of friends back in Illinois, and they say that they're getting a ton of snow. I mean, believe it or not, last that I saw, I might get 2 to 5 inches or something like that. I doubt that'll happen, but it did say that this morning.
So I'll tell you what, man, it's the same outlook for Texas, man. I was in Illinois there over the New Year's holiday, and man, we got out of there right before the apocalypse happened. And now we get home, and it's like we brought Illinois with us. Well, while we were gone, it was 60 in Texas, but now it's 20 in Texas. So I don't get to enjoy any of that 60 yet. I love the golf. I could have been on the golf course. No, I'm just kidding. But definitely stay warm, number one, guys, and be careful out there on those roads. If you got any salt in Texas, which you probably don't, I always bring back a bag from Illinois. So I'm not going to be on anybody's funny radar because I walked out the front door and slipped on some ice, and 10, 15 people saw it. Oh, it ain't happening around here, fellas. I'll have some ice melt down here pretty soon.
I'll just stay in the house. I don't care.
Guys, man, we thank you for joining us, man. It's episode 181 here at Going Bracket Racing, and we're looking forward to another couple few hundreds, man. You know, we can go as far as we can with it and keep the information coming, the comments coming. And for now, we see you guys on next Tuesday. Have a good one. See you later.